Hello, Oracles. Well, Tesla tanks over 12% today based upon the delivery numbers that we had gotten yesterday. We're also getting some rumors about Tom Zhu again. So it sounds like Tom Zhu might actually be getting this promotion that everyone was talking about previously. We've mentioned it on here about the fact that he may be taking over some sort of director of operations roles or director of sales. So we've got some rumors and some reports that are coming out on that we'll dive into today. We're going to look at the stock chart itself. And then we're also going to revisit the information that we went over this morning for Generation 3 platform and go back to the Q3 earnings call that Elon had spoken about it on and kind of dissect it a little bit more, a little deeper. And so looking at the chart today, we were down obviously this over 12% here, closing at 1810. We were discussing how that 109 to 110 level of support was what we were looking to close at. We closed just below that. So that tells me that that 109 to 110 level is going to be a level of resistance now. So if we do not break through that level, we may end up falling further. We did fill that gap that was at 112. And so from here, the next level of support below us is right at that $100 level. So we will pay attention to that. Looking at volume today, we had 230 million shares trading hands. Very, very high volume. We also have the RSI dropping down to 24.54. So again, dipping further into the oversold range. And now this time around, we never actually came out of oversold. We came right close to that 30 and then dipped back down. So when we look at the weekly chart, we're still in oversold at 26.85. But as we were discussing, there may be some more that we need to squeeze out of this and the entire market. We are now seeing Apple hitting 52-week lows. Those are the big tech giants that are usually the last to fall. Tesla was right there with them, but the big giants, those are the high institutional holding ones, those are typically the last ones to fall, and that could drive us down a little further. So looking at the monthly, we still have an RSI of 37. So if the market does pull down further, which I am anticipating, this could pull the monthly chart into oversold. So we may have a little ways to go before we end up hitting the bottom for Tesla. And now again, this isn't me trying to spread FUD or anything of that nature. This is just a, by the way, in the near term, things are still going to be ugly. We've been talking about it, just one of those things to learn and kind of brace ourselves for and anticipate this. But if we are ready for it, those ugly times tend to lead to some of the best buying opportunities. So that's why I am looking at this right now as a great buying opportunity, but we may have even better buying opportunities ahead of us. Just some things that I'm paying attention to. And again, in this kind of market, you really need to be agile and just be ready to take care of anything. The Fed can come out all of a sudden and just pivot, and then the market's going to turn. And where we're at right now might actually be the bottom. So just to be ready for anything and anything that happens, in this way, we can be ready to do what is best for our portfolio for the long term. And one of the things that I look at when it goes to long term is, yes, we are going to be facing some headwinds. Yes, we have the EV tax credit issues, but as Hallmark's catalog says here, don't hit the brakes one bit on production. If we have to have 15% gross margin instead of 30% and sell a higher volume of EVs, that's probably the best strategy, as you'll make it back on software services to those vehicles easily. Tesla is pure joy, it sells itself. Now, something we also have to remember is, let's pretend that your Tesla is a smartphone. Let's say it's an Apple. Let's say you've got an iPhone. Well, you've got this Tesla on the road. The more you have out there, that is, the more users you have that you can sell software to. Think about where Apple makes a significant portion of its profits through software. So if we've got that software that is going through all of those Teslas, it doesn't matter if you sell them at lower margins. The more Teslas you can get into people's driveways, the more software you'll be able to sell in the future to them at super high margins, and you'll make up for all of that down the road. So that is Hallmark's theory on that, and I agree with that as well. I would rather Tesla just continue to pump out as many vehicles as possible. They'll know the best way that they can balance out all of these margins for the best bang for their buck in the future. But as far as I'm concerned, and based on what Elon had said previously, their goal is to still continue to achieve these growth numbers for all of production and deliveries. So they may end up taking that hit to get those vehicles out there. And now onto the Tom Zhu news. We've got Sawyer Merritt here putting out an article that was by Reuters. Electrek also put an article out. There are a bunch of articles over in China as well that were talking about this. Sounds like Tesla's China chief Tom Zhu has been promoted to take charge of Tesla's US assembly plants as well as sales operations in North America and Europe, according to an internal posting of reporting lines reviewed by Reuters. Now, of course, Reuters always gives us some potentially questionable news that's out there, but sometimes there is a modicum of truth to what they have put out. So again, I always take their reports with a grain of salt, and until Tesla gives us some sort of confirmation on this, I am still going to sit here and say it's not happening yet, but I have a feeling we are going to be hearing about something very soon. And as Sawyer says here, Reuters says the Tesla posting showed that Zhu's title of vice president for Greater China had not changed, and that he also retained his responsibilities as Tesla's most senior executive for sales in the rest of Asia as of Tuesday. So you guys can let me know in the comments below, when do you think that we are going to be hearing about this? Do you think that we're going to hear about it before Q4 earnings and Tom will be on the call? Do you think we'll hear about it at the Q4 earnings? A lot of this makes sense. Obviously, we see how well Shanghai has been doing. We've talked about it numerous times before. If you've got a guy who's been running the best operation in your entire company, you're going to want to spread that out throughout the entire company to help all of your factories produce and sell the same way. So I think this is a great move for Tesla, whatever his role is going to be. I don't think it's going to be CEO by any stretch of the imagination, but taking over these responsibilities for sales and production for all of their factories across the world, I think is going to be a great move for Tesla. And I think this is going to see them grow even bigger in the future. I think when we start seeing that Generation 3 platform coming out, we are going to see him a vital role in that to be able to take that to the next level. And as we see here from Seeking Alpha, a reminder of what Elon said on the Q3 earnings call. Well, we don't want to talk exact dates, but this is the primary focus of our new vehicle development team, obviously. At this point, we've done the engineering for Cybertrucks and for Semi, so it's obviously against what we're working on, which is the next generation vehicle, which will probably be about the cost of the 3 and the Y platform. It will be smaller, to be clear, but it will, I think, certainly exceed the production of all our other vehicles combined. And so here, if we put the two pieces of information together, sounds like it's going to be a smaller platform. So is this smaller platform going to be for that compact car that we've been talking about? When Brian from My Tesla Weekend was on here last week, he was discussing how he believes that every single factory is going to have their own iteration of this. Just like Germany right now has colors that the other factories don't have, every factory kind of has its own little nuance to it. This may be what's going to be coming out from the compact car. We may have the compact kind of Golf version, that hatchback version coming out of Berlin. We'll probably have a smaller sedan type style coming out of Shanghai, maybe like a Nissan Sentra type size of vehicle, and maybe something similar over in Austin. Maybe it's going to be like a Honda Civic type style that's coming out over here. So overall, I think that's going to be a big, good move. This is obviously something that going into this recessionary period, people are really clamoring for this lower priced vehicle that is going to be coming out. Now, again, we have no confirmation that that's what is going to be coming out from this, but going with a smaller platform, even though Elon did say that it may cost the same as the 3 and the Y, that in turn will end up coming down. Perhaps this new generation platform is also going to have that structural battery pack. That in itself is going to reduce costs in the vehicle. So a lot that we need to wait on, that's going to be coming out March 1st. So when we do end up getting that information, we'll get more clarity. So the next question is that also going to be the platform that the robotaxi is going to be on? I don't know. The robotaxi kind of seems like it may be a bigger style vehicle where you can fit more people in it, but you're going to take out the steering wheel and the pedals and all of that. So truly don't know. This is a lot of speculation, but just putting the pieces of that puzzle together from what Elon has told us, and now the Generation 3 platform coming out on March 1st, sounds like this might be that $30,000 vehicle or that compact car that many people have been talking about. And one last thing I wanted to share with you guys, I did not mention it this morning because I wanted to be able to show you this video, is this Tesla, if you guys haven't seen it yet, this vehicle drove 250 feet off of Devil's Slide. All 4 occupants survived. 2 adults 2 children. From what it sounds like, the 2 kids were really just more scared than anything. But the guy who rescued them said that no one survives when they fall off of there. This is, I guess, a common place where people do fall off of the road. And he said nobody survives this. So the fact that they survived this in a Tesla is absolutely incredible. All 4 were conscious and alert, and the kids only suffered moderate injuries and were more scared than hurt, the fire chief said. We go there all the time for cars over the cliff, and they never live. This was an absolute miracle, Pottinger said. So again, we go back to Tesla being the safest vehicle on the road. It's now the safest vehicle if you go off the road as well, according to this one situation. So, not to say you should be going and driving your vehicle over a cliff to test it to see how durable it is, but in situations like this is insane. This is ridiculous how this can happen. And we're seeing how these passengers survived. So absolutely awesome. And I wish them all the best recovery out there. But just the fact that they can recover from this is incredible. So looking at tomorrow, I don't know where the stock is going to go. Again, we are oversold. The whole market did end up turning red today. We started green, pulled red. And so from here, again, I am waiting till we hit that $100 mark. At that point there, I'm going to deploy 25% of my cash into it. And then I'm going to wait. I don't know what is going to happen in the future. We've got CPI data coming out on January 12th, so that might swing the market one way or the other based upon that information. We have Elon coming out saying that, at least in the auto industry, they're already seeing deflationary pressures coming in. We're seeing this with Tesla potentially needing to come down on their prices as it is. The EV tax credit isn't helping that either. So if they have to pull down on prices, that's obviously going to hit margins. That goes back to what Omar from Holmar's catalog had said, where go ahead and take that margin hit, sell them all, we'll sell them software later. But if we end up seeing a CPI data coming in with inflation numbers higher than expected, then we can definitely anticipate the Fed is going to be raising rates further, which in turn is going to cause even further deflationary pressures on the automotive market. And once we get that data that comes in, you have to really dive in to see, well, what areas are causing inflation, what areas are not. The automotive market is coming down. So we'll pay attention to those things. We've got to pay attention to month over month data. As we get closer, I will see what all of the expectations are for the month over month and year over year. At this point here, month over month is going to be more important just because last year the inflation was already high. So obviously we don't want it to be higher above that, but it should naturally come down year over year because of the fact that last year was so high. So we're really going to pay attention to that month over month data to make sure that we are staying in line. Last month we came in at a 0.1%, which is a 1.2% annualized, which is lower than that 2% goal that the Fed has. So that's a good sign. If we can continue that going forward, that could give us indications that the Fed may end up pausing. Don't know if they're going to pause at this meeting or the next one, but all of this uncertainty could lead the market to continue selling off until we get some more clarity from that. And now for my own goals, my goal is to hit 200 shares by the end of this year. And I did break it down, and No Opinion over on Twitter was awesome. He did a little breakdown on how much he needs per week. So I did the same for me. So I need 2.84 shares per week in order to reach those goals. Obviously, that's going to differ when the price fluctuates, but it will show me with my dollar cost averaging of $25 a day how that's going to affect adding more shares if we dip down further. So it'll be a nice little experiment to play with here. I'm obviously holding long term, so it's not going to phase me, and I'm not adding a ton of money right now. So just to see how this plays out, it's going to be a fun little experiment, and I'll be able to share it with all of you guys as we track over the course of the year to see if this dollar cost averaging method that I have is going to help me achieve my goal this year, just as it did last year when my goal was 50 shares and I ended up hitting 52. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. How do you guys feel about Tom Zhu taking over this new role, if that is the role that he is officially going to be getting? And how do you guys feel about what Omar had said about selling as many vehicles as possible, but taking a margin hit so we can have more vehicles on the road to be able to put software in later? Thank you all so much for watching. I appreciate all of your support and feedback. If you have not subscribed, please do so down below. Sign yourself up for notifications. I am over on Twitter at OracleTim1. I share all the latest Tesla news, pertinent stock market information, and all of my daily trades. We do have a Discord chat. That link is down in the description. And if you'd like to support the channel any further, we do have a membership program and a Patreon. Those links are also in the description. Thank you so much. Have a great one.